we are the Nazarene of Yahuah. And we say Toda Rabbah for joining us in part 1 of our study of Mashalim or Proverbs 31. Of course, we are looking at true character. We looked at the instructions given to Lamuel. We began to look at the character of the woman described in Proverbs 31. And we recognize that there is more to her character than many of us would have learned in religious spaces and possibly even in personal spaces. But we're here with the study of true character, Proverbs 31 or Mashalim 31 in part 2. We do trust that part 1 was enlightening and that you are excited to get into the final part of this chapter. Let's begin. Mashalim 31, line upon line, verse upon verse, and so we stopped at verse 21 in the last part, or the first part rather, of our discussions or conversations. So now we get to verse 22 of this chapter, and verse 22 begins with the mom, and that's Marabadim or Marbadim, and it comes from the root Marbad, which means a spread or a coverlet. So Marbadim means tapestry or covering. So tapestry or covering she makes for herself. Fine linen and purple. So she's making for herself a coverlet or tapestry dressed in fine linen and purple. So this woman is well put together and is also covered in the best. It doesn't mean that the emphasis is not on having luxury. The emphasis is that her wise choices, her ability to use the wealth and the increase wisely to build her house in the sense of building everyone in the house, ensuring everyone is taken care of, to ensure that economically there is stability and otherwise. She's able to represent herself, her husband, her household well by how she's attired. And the fact that she makes it for herself, again, she has skill. So it doesn't say she goes out and buys tapestry. She's able to use her skill to even ensure that she is okay. She's taken care of. So things that she doesn't have to spend money on, she does for herself. Verse 23 begins with the nun, nuda, coming from yada, Nuda begins this verse, coming from Yada. And of course, as we speak, we have rain, Yada Yahuah. So that may be in the background of the recording, but let us trust that we're still being heard. So Nuda, which means is known, coming from Yada, which means to know, knowledge, So is known in the gates her husband, when he sits among the elders of the land. And of course, this therefore means that because the household is being so well taken care of, because they both function according to their correct order, because she is functioning in alignment with her functions and he is functioning in alignment with his function, he is able to sit among the elders at the gates. The gates were not just entrance and exit points. These were places where decisions were taken, business transactions were done, matters were resolved concerning the people. And so he's able to sit without any fear, without feeling as though he is living in a home that is not in alignment with Torah. He's confidently able to sit. And he's known, his lifestyle is known, his household is known. As the scripture says here, he's known in the gates, which means his household can be an example to others. Verse 24 begins with the Samak. She shall make fine linen and sell them. So the thought that the woman of Proverbs 31 is a passive, stay at home, just sit down and be meek sort of woman is not so. Here she uses her skill in an entrepreneurial way. Whatever skill this is, in this case, it's her ability to construct garments, garment construction. Maybe it's another skill for another woman who is a Shachayil. But her ability to create fine linen and sell them. So she's a businesswoman and entrepreneur. So she conducts businesses and shall give girdles for the merchants. So this woman understands how to conduct business and commerce, and she's economically wise and fit and capable, the fact that she delivers girdles unto the merchants, it shows that trade is honorable. Trade is honest. So her work is not only in her household, but it benefits others. It benefits others, and the business she conducts is also beneficial to other businesses. So it means her business is responding to a gap, to a need. It's not just doing something, but it is solving problems even among other merchants. Verse 25 begins with the Ayin. Ayin. And, well, I didn't say what the word beginning with the Samak of 24 was, which is Sardine. Sardine, which translates to linen or linen garment. Sadine. So it's like an envelope, something that wraps you. So it's a garment, linen garment. Sadine. Verse 25 with the ayin begins with the word as meaning strength or might. And so strength or might and splendor are her garments. So not only does this chapter talk about her outward, but it speaks about her character. She's strong and honorable. She wears that, which means she's a woman of integrity. She's not cheeky or trying to be, deceptive. But strength and honor, her true garments. Notice the chapter didn't say that her garments are linen and purple. It says she dresses and makes for herself. But her true garments are what her character looks like or portrays, which is strength and honor. Strength and honor. And strength and honor. Honor, this word honor comes from the word hadar. Hadar. And hadar means beauty, comeliness, excellence, honor, majesty. So this woman's character, if that is that of a royal woman, a woman who understands that she's royalty. And so she behaves in that particular way. Beauty, what is comely, what is excellent. So, as hadar, strength and honor. And of course, as also speaks to boldness. She's bold. It also speaks to power and might, security. So this woman is no simpleton. For her to do entrepreneurial activity, she's a powerful woman. She's an influential woman. An example to others. And so she's described there. So then verse 26 begins with the pa. And the word here is pia, coming from pa, which means her mouth. Pia, coming from pa. Pa means mouth. So, says her mouth, pia, she opens, so she shall open with wisdom. So what comes out of her mouth is not foolishness. What comes out of her mouth is not endless chatter. What comes out of her mouth is not manipulation and trying to behave as though she's victim so that people can be sorry for her husband, can be guilty and sorry for her. No. Wisdom comes out. Hakma. Wise words. Wise advice. And her tongue is the Torah of kindness. Her tongue is the Torah of kindness. And Torah, of course, means instructions, directions. So kindness come out of her mouth. So wisdom comes forth. She is a source of influence. The same in the same book of Mashalim says, Chayi and Muth, life and death come out of, are in the power of the tongue. And so she speaks life. She speaks life. She's a source of instruction. The fact that it says her tongue is the Torah of kindness, she's a source of instruction and of course stability within her household and within her community, because obviously she's a woman of influence. Maybe she could even be the one teaching other ladies how to be resourceful, how to have businesses, how to ensure their household is taken care of, their husband and children are taken care of, and others, the poor, the needy, are taken care of. She is the Torah of kindness, instruction, person who is instructive. Then we get to 27, that begins with the Tzad, and the word is Supia, coming from Tzapa. Supia coming from Tzapa, T-S-A-P-A-H, Tzapa. And this is saying, of course, Tzapa means to look out or to look about or to spy, keep watch, to peer into the distance, to observe, to wait. So she watches over the ways of her household. She watches over the ways of her household. She keeps watch. She looks about. She beholds. So you know she's going to be one who keeps everybody in line. She's going to be the one to keep everybody in line. Maybe not the favorite of the children or anyone. She peers in the distance. She observes. So she watches everything. So to anyone listening to this, that's why your mama watches everything. She's a Shachayil. So she watches over what? The ways. So the goings, how they are keeping themselves, how they are walking. Is the household walking in Torah? Is the household walking according to how it should? She watches over the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. So it means it is not part of her to be idle. She doesn't partake in what is idle or sluggish or lazy or lethargic. She's productive. She's productive. And she doesn't keep idle company. There are some ladies who will always have friends who just talk, gossip, spend money on lavish things, and just be idle. She doesn't have, this woman doesn't partake in that. She doesn't partake in idleness. She's productive, which means this woman probably won't have a lot of friends. Verse 28 begins with the coup or cup, which is the Q here, and it is the word, it's a word that came earlier. This one is Kamu, coming from Kum. Remember Kumbaya? And earlier we saw that she rises up before it, lights out. So here we hear again, Kamu, rise up. So rise up her children. The word here is really not Baruch as some translations put it, but it's really Ashar. So the word for blessed in this particular context is Ashar. And Ashar means to go straight, to advance, to be leveled, to be right, to be glad, to guide, to lead, to go forward, to be honest, to be proper. In one instance, to rebuke. I suppose the children would say that. So they call her straight. They call her leveled. They talk about her being joyful, honest, proper, a guide, a relief. Her children call her that. It also goes on, the verse says, her husband praises her. And it doesn't mean that he worships or praises in the sense of how he honors Yahuah, but he can boast about her. He can celebrate her. He can commend her. Because, of course, naturally, he's glad that he's married to such a woman. So he can celebrate, boast. It says to be clear. So he can go around and brag about his wife. He's a Shah. And he commends her on her ability to represent him well and to represent the household well. And so it says, the children call her Ashar, and the husband can commend her. Continues, verse 29 begins with the Rash, and the word here is Rabuth, coming from Rab, meaning many. Rabuth, coming from Rab, which means many or much or great numbers, plenteous. So many or plenteous, a lot of daughters have done nobly. But you, speaking of this woman, have risen over them all. So many women out there have done well. Many of them have done well. Many of them have shown that they are resourceful, have shown that they are strong, because the same word Kail is used to describe what they have done. So many of them have done well, have been resourceful, have been worthy, have been strong and virtuous. But you excel. The word here is Alif, coming from Allah. Alif coming from Allah with the Ayin. And
the verse before, verse 28, the last part said her husband, and he praises her. Is that what he's doing in verse 29?
The commendation. Khan, Twitter for bringing that out. Zakan, so the commendation here, so he praises her. Many daughters have done well, but you have risen over them all. You excel over them all. So it is the husband's commendation that comes out in verse 29. Toda. So then we have verse 30 that has the Shan, and that word is Shakar, Shan, Kuf, Rash. So SH and the Q and the R, Shakar. And this means deception, disappointment, falsehood. So it begins with Shakar Hakan. Shakar Hakan. Hakan, of course, coming from Khan, meaning favor, pleasantness. So favors and pleasantness and pardon can be deceptive. So some favors can be deceptive. It continues by saying prettiness is vain. So beauty is habal. Habal meaning a vapor or a breath. Empty. So favors can be deceitful or pardon, or some would say charm. Beauty is but a breath. It passes, It continues. A woman who reveres Yahuah. She is the woman who is to be boasted about, who is to be celebrated, who is to be commended. The woman who does what? Fears or reveres Yahuah. So this is central in the entire passage. That this is not just some smart woman who is intelligent and doing business. This is a woman who every single thing we have read about so far surrounds a woman who fears Yahuah, who reveres Yahuah. So everything was a build up to this point. So everything that we've seen so far flows from this. So even though persons can be attractive, that attractiveness can be deceptive. And beauty fades away like breath. And favors can be misleading. But a woman who fears Yahuah and is not afraid of Yahuah, but is obedient in all things, is in awe of Yahuah, is loyal to Yahuah, is submitted to his authority, even in the context of the home. Understanding that she's not the one going out there to sit in the gates with the elders. She knows her place. So a woman who reveres Yahuah, she is a treasure that no age can diminish. She is to be commended. She is to be boasted about. This is why she is commended. Because she fears Yahuah in all her dealings. In dealing with the poor, dealing with her businesses, in taking care of her household. All of what she does centered around the fear of Yahuah. And the final verse, the thou begins this, and it is Thanu. Thanu, that comes from Nathan. Nathan means to give, to put. So to give, or apply, or ascribe, or appoint, or assign, or commit. So appoint, ascribe, assign, give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. Let her works praise her in the gates. So the fruit represents the outcome of her labor. Let her receive the honor. So in essence, let her receive the honor she has earned. Do not overlook her contributions. Do not take her sacrifices for granted. It says, give her of the fruit of her hands. Do not ignore the value she has brought to the household and to the community, the wider community. Let her works praise her in the gates, so her reputation should be established publicly. The same gates that the elders gather become the place where her deeds are recognized. So recognition must be given. So it means her life becomes her witness. So give her what is due. Give her the honor that she has earned. Honor her contributions. Do not take her sacrifices for granted. And this can be a message to those who are children towards their mothers, those who are husbands towards their wives, those who are in the communities who benefit from such a woman. So this particular passage with the verses coming reveal that this woman of Mashal 31, she's instructive, she's productive, she's a woman who fears Yahuah, she's strong, she's wise, she's compassionate, she's economically capable, a teacher of wisdom, prepared, she's disciplined. Don't forget, she watches over the ways of the household. She reveres Yahuah. And of course, her reputation speaks for her. She is bold. She's respected by her community. She's not idle. And there's so many other things that could come out of this. So ultimately we see that the greatest beauty in a daughter of Yisharal, or Yasharal, if you may, is not in her appearance, not in her wealth, not in her status, but a life that is shaped by wisdom, a life that is shaped by revering Yahuah. And everything else in this chapter that speaks of this woman coming from, what was it, verse 10 or 11 thereabout, coming down, where it starts to speak about the woman from verse 10 coming down. All of that flows from a woman who is wise and fears Most High Yahuah. All of that. So we give the Most High thanks for this, because it is a blueprint for a lot of us as women to follow, to be guided by. And if in any way we would have been living in accordingly, to maintain and not to drop the ball. But we can only do so when we remain connected, obedient, steadfast in, and submitted to the authority of Yahuah, revering him and keeping his instructions. Murah Yahuah.
Joining us for the completion of our look at true character, looking line upon line at Proverbs or Mashalim 31. We do trust that you will continue to stick around with us for the various lessons, and that you will take the time to go into some of our other lessons. Send us an email, natsarimofyahuah@gmail.com. Join us on our WhatsApp channel. You'll find the link in the description below. And of course, we are always excited whenever you join us, when you comment and you share the content. Achad Ahaba. One love. Ashbaka. One love.
We are the Nazarene of Yahuah.
And of course, we say Akkad
Ahaba,
which means
one love.
And we thank all our viewers and subscribers, all the family of the Most High, for viewing today's presentation.